Hello, and happy holidays or Merry Christmas or whatever you celebrate or don't. It is just about the new year. I had a lovely Christmas time with my family. It was great. While all of them were here, this perspective is crazy. I have like huge hands. Um, but while my family was here, we um, talked about games as we always do, especially with my brothers, and we started talking about Zelda and what we hope for the next Zelda game. If there's going to be another, big Zelda game, what's it going to be? What's it going to look like? And we can speculate until the cows come home. But something that I was thinking about in particular that I hope that the next one, whatever the next big Zelda game is, I hope that it's a little more linear. I think. And maybe it's the nostalgia speaking, and I understand that I can't remember who said it or when it was said, but it was one of the Zelda guys. Maybe it was like Anuma. Is he still around? Is Anuma still around? Is it Anuma? Maybe it was Anuma. Saying how like, oh, this new open Zelda thing is like the new way that we're gonna be making Zelda games, and that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I thought that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom were great. Very good games. Breath of the Wild had that explorative magic that I have had a hard time finding in any other game since, and Tears of the Kingdom didn't have that as much because it was the same world, and so with obviously they had the depths and the skies, but I definitely missed some of that exploration from the first game. But ultimately, what I felt like I missed from both of them, and again, if this is just the new way of Zelda, it's the new way of Zelda. I'll roll with it, I guess. But I grew up playing Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda game, and it probably still is my favorite Zelda game. I love all of them for many different reasons. I even love Skyward Sword, as strange and janky as that one is. That one is, I think, a little too linear and handholdy. But the pendulum swings wide, I suppose. But Twilight Princess to me was this wonderful little gem, and I know that it was kind of the dark horse of Zelda games, and it is still kind of the dark horse of Zelda games. There's nothing quite like it. As far as I know, it's the only teen-rated one. But I loved its moodiness. I loved its edge. Its dark charm that I found it so engaging and compelling, and I loved that about Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time too. Those games are dark. I mean, like, and not just not in a traditional fantasy sense of like, oh, there's like, or like the other games have dark themes and stuff like that. But Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess are distinctly macabre, at times eerie and creepy and genuinely scary, and I feel like that's what makes a great adventure game, for me at least. And some of my favorite adventure stories of all time, movies or games, are these ones that have an edge to it. I lament often. I sound like an old guy whenever I say this, but that the new Pixar movies don't have the edge that they used to. My two favorite Pixar movies are Finding Nemo and Ratatouille, but I want to focus on Finding Nemo because something that makes that movie so special is just how harrowing it is. It is terrifying. The ocean is a scary place already, and so it's not like they had to try very hard to make it scary, but they did. They did try to make it scary, and it works super well. And I think that's what makes Finding Nemo such a timeless and epic adventure story. Is there's so many moments where things are terrifying. I think of this shot, one of the opening shots from Finding Nemo. Who would have thought I would be talking about Finding Nemo in this? One of the opening shots from Finding Nemo is right before. I love this perspective. It's so funny to me. I have like these giant hands, and my knees are big. I feel like a child. But anyway, one of the opening shots in that movie during the first scene is when they see the barracuda. Everything's fine. Coral, who is Marlin, his fish wife, she swims out and she's terrified. She sees the barracuda. You see her reaction before you see the barracuda. Already great setup to that scene. And then you see the barracuda, and it's just floating there. It's not moving. It's just staring. Ooh, I gotta watch that movie again. Oh man, I got goosebumps just thinking about how good that scene is. And it's scary, and that's terrified me as a kid. And as a kid, I was scared of it, but I was also so hooked. I mean, what a way to open a movie. And as a kid, sometimes I think we don't give kids enough credit for handling scary things. And I don't mean, don't throw them into John Carpenter's The Thing or anything like that. But, some of the best kid stories I think are scary. And I think that's one of the reasons, again, that why I loved Finding Nemo, but why I love Twilight Princess is because Twilight Princess had an edge. There were real stakes. The other Zelda games have their own stakes, of course, but Twilight Princess is a frightening game, and the premise is quite scary, and it's executed in a way that feels mature and macabre and really quite unique, and I miss that. I miss having a handcrafted story as well. I liked Breath of the Wild for its open world exploration, really fun. I'm kind of over open world games. I don't have the time for them anymore personally. I enjoy games that are a little more fine-tuned in a more story way. That's just me personally. I know it's not for everybody, but I enjoy games that embrace the story a bit more, and even if that means for a leaner experience. I would rather play a lean story game, I think, than a far too bloated open world, do what you want kind of game. There are exceptions, of course, but for the most part. But I miss the big dungeons. I would rather have, I think, 8 dungeons and a minimal overworld than a huge overworld and only 4 dungeons. Or I'd rather have unique items than the ability to make my own items. I enjoy creativity in games, but not all games. I like it in games like Little Big Planet. I like creativity in games like that where you are designing and making and that's fun. I love that, but I think in my adventure games, I prefer something a little more handcrafted. I like to see what someone else's vision is. And I enjoy when someone designs a story and a game, and they give it to me and they go, experience this. I made it and it's mine. And I go, okay, cool. And then I eat it up and it's my favorite thing. I like Breath of the Wild. I like Tears of the Kingdom. But the open-ended approach to games, the sort of open way that you approach combat and exploration and the story, I don't think it's for me anymore. I think I like, maybe this is just, maybe I'm lazy, right? Maybe I don't want to overthink the games that I'm playing. But I enjoy when a game is handed to me and it's an experience that strings me along from moment to moment. And that's something that I liked about the older Zelda games that I feel like I've been missing in the last couple. So who knows what they're cooking up at Nintendo? It's funny to always think, and I do think this every time a new Zelda game comes out. I go, oh, what are they gonna do for the next one? And yet somehow they always manage to do something different. Say what you will about their business practices or whatever at Nintendo. The people who make games at Nintendo are wizards. They are wizards, truly. And the games they make are always so unique, and the things they come up with and how they execute it's brilliant, genuinely brilliant. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm sure that whatever they come up with next for Zelda will be distinct in its own way. Every Zelda game has been decidedly distinct in its own way. Most every Zelda game. But I just hope for something a little more linear. I would love a Link with more character. I would love side characters with more character and more presence in the story. I was talking to my brother about this. I don't even remember his name. In Tears of the Kingdom, there's that researcher guy who, he's not in the first game, and he's like huge and jacked and handsome, and I don't think he's wearing a shirt. And he's got the hair that covers his eyes. I don't remember exactly what he looks like. I don't remember his name. But he's got like 2 important scenes in that game. And I was so devastated by that because I met him and I said, who's this guy? I wanna know this guy. Give me cutscenes with him. Give me everything. And then he's got is the most minor of minor roles, and I was so bummed out about that. And again, that's something that I think that these open games they struggle with is you're given such a wide berth of characters and you don't get to spend any time with them because you're too busy gallivanting off on your own adventure because there's too many variables to allow you to spend time with these characters all the time. Um, in Twilight Princess, you've got that frustrating segment where you're escorting the children. I can't remember if it's to or from Kakariko Village. I think to Kakariko Village. There's one where you're escorting the prince. Anyway, there's a sequence or two in Twilight Princess where you're escorting these kids, and you couldn't do something like that in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom because those games are designed to be open, and to be funneled into a story moment like that, to be funneled into a high octane, high stress story moment like that, it just doesn't match up well with the gameplay and the game design of an open game like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And honestly, that makes me sad because I like those moments. Midna's Lament is such a wonderful song because it accompanies such a wonderful moment in Twilight Princess when Midna's dying and you have to save her. And there's so many moments like that I feel you lose when suddenly you have to account for a million variables in order to make a game work. When you make an open game, that means there's more variables. When there's more variables, that means that you have less control over what the player is experiencing. And again, if that's what you're shooting for, that's great. If you're trying to make a RimWorld, that sort of Dwarf Fortress, is that the right game? Yeah, but like RimWorld, if you're trying to make a game that's all variables, that's great, and more power to you. And I think there is a space for sandbox games and open games like that. But for me, Zelda has always been about the wonderful story. The gameplay is great, in most of the games, but the story and the world is way, 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 way more compelling to me than anything else. And it kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see that kind of has faded a little bit into the background as gameplay, at least this certain type of gameplay, takes the forefront. So I'm not expecting any Nintendo executive or dev to see this and be like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's throw that in our next game. But as always, these are just my thoughts. I love Zelda games. I have such a fondness for them. I grew up playing them. We had on the GameCube, love that console. Probably still one of my favorite consoles ever. But on the GameCube, we had a collector's edition Zelda box that had the first Legend of Zelda. It had The Adventure of Link. It had Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and a 30-minute, or maybe 20 or 30-minute demo of Wind Waker. And all that you were just on Outset Island, I think. And you would just mill about and faff about and cause problems. Which I think that collector's edition goes for a relatively pretty penny now. But it's my oldest brother, so I have to kind of I gotta see if I can take it from him because I'm the one who collects games. He is not. But I love Zelda. I have such a fondness for it. I have nothing but love for that franchise. It has influenced so much of my taste in fantasy, my enjoyment of adventure stories and heroic tales and. So, I'm ultimately optimistic. I think that Nintendo makes good games. They're good at making games. And so, with any luck, the next Zelda game will be something worth playing and something that'll be unique and cool. I just hope that it's more linear. I hope that there's more story. I hope that the pendulum can start to swing back towards the narrative as a focus point. Especially if it means we get cool dungeons and bosses and gadgets and tools and you know what? Heck, bring back the fun side characters again. Bring back the Navi, Fi, Midna character. I know it's a tired kind of stereotype of Zelda games, but I miss it. I loved it. I didn't mind it at all. I felt very alone in the new Zelda games. Especially, it was weird. There's a sort of weird aloneness I felt after in Tears of the Kingdom when you unlock the, you do a dungeon, you see it through, and then you do that dungeon with the companion that you get, whether it's Tulin or Yunobo or Urbosa or Sidon. And then afterwards, you don't get them as a companion, you get their spirit. And I remember looking around at the spirits and thinking, I feel more alone than I would have if I was alone with these guys. I have these 4 blue spirit guys just following me everywhere, and I feel more lonely than if I was completely by myself right now. There's something about that I found a little uncanny. And I know why they did it. It wouldn't have made sense to have the actual characters follow you around everywhere. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked probably with what they were shooting for. But it still made me uncomfortable. And anyway, I like companion characters. I've always liked companion characters. But yeah, no, this is it's funny. I think my videos are getting progressively longer as I find more to yammer on about. I hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday season, and as we go into the new year, I'm excited to play more games. I am currently replaying The Last of Us Part 1. Shocking no one who knows me. But it's been a while since I played this. In fairness, it's been like 6 years since I've played The Last of Us Part 1, or since I played the first Last of Us. So I'm doing it again, and it's great. I'm also playing Clair Obscur. More on that later. I'll probably give a more thorough review of that, or my thoughts on it as I progress through it. It's been slow going just because we had family here, so I didn't play much games, or really any games at all while they were here. But yeah, I think that's it. If anyone has any thoughts on Zelda games, what your favorites are or anything, I would love to hear them. I really, really would. I love to hear everyone's different perspectives on things. It makes this fun. This is it's what I like about doing this. So yeah, okay. Thanks for listening for this 17 minutes just about here. That's my alarm that I'm starting work soon. All right, bye.